The introduction is called Made in America. Everybody listening?
Yes.
Alright. I was 11 years old the first time I saw a man bleed to death. It was a day I will never forget. We were out playing in Dyersdale Village Projects, infamously nicknamed The Hole because there was only one way in and one way out. I noticed a black man being chased by another. I assumed they were horseplaying. Then one of them fell to the sidewalk. Seconds later, a pool of blood began pouring from underneath his body. My friends and I scrambled to find help. Within minutes, the entire neighborhood had gathered around him praying, trying to stop the bleeding and encouraging him to keep his eyes open. I remember thinking that the sidewalk in the hole was no place for a man to take his last breath. The loss of his life changed the course of mine. So did the night I was awakened by the fighting between my mother and her boyfriend. It was not the first time. He'd once beaten her so severely that I could not even recognize her when I saw her. And this was after she'd healed up. It was 3 a.m. and I had to be up for school in a few hours. I banged on the door and yelled to them, "Keep it down." He wouldn't stop, so I busted through the flimsy bedroom door of the old rented house on Sundown Street. Lynn, my mom's best friend, begged me to do something because this man had plans to seriously hurt my mother. I demanded that he leave. He told me to stay in the child's place. That was the last thing on my mind. By the way, I think I was 12 years old at this time. You want me to read some more?
Yes.
I went into combat mode and started waking up my siblings. My older sister grabbed an iron, my older brother grabbed a bat, and my little brother Jesse even grabbed a lock and chain. We may have had a dysfunctional family, but we always meant business when it came time to protect our mother. My mom's boyfriend pulled out a gun, put it to my mother's back, and led her out of the house like a hostage. He slapped her best friend so hard she flew from the living room into the kitchen. Not knowing what else to do, I grabbed a T-shaped plant stand and hit him over his head. This is a true story. I won't get into what happened afterward. Just know that by God's grace we survived. You want me to read one more paragraph?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, one more paragraph. I remember still choosing to go to school that day. I remember the long walk home with my brothers, feeling happy about my mom's boyfriend finally being out of our lives. I was wrong. When I opened the screen door that had been broken by the violence of the night before, there he was, sitting on the living room sofa. He asked me how was school. I wanted to kill him that day.
Can you read more paragraphs?
It was then that I realized that my mother had a very bad drug problem and he was her drug dealer. Okay, so I'll read one more paragraph and then that's it, all right?
And that's it.
Yeah, because, I'll read one more paragraph. Many things happen in a human being's life that shapes his or her perspective. Everybody know what a perspective is? It's the way you see things. And the reason I told that story is, as I go through this book and I'm talking about different issues, I want to give people an opportunity to understand why I think the way I think. And what we go through in life determines why we think the way we think. Like the reason I'm so passionate about speaking to young people like you all is because I remember being your age, but I had grown folks problems. And some of y'all had grown folks problems too, but nobody understood me. So I want to be that person that understands when nobody else does. Last paragraph. That wasn't off the book, that was off my own. Many things happen in a human being's life that shapes his or her perspective. We perceive reality differently because of our unique life experiences. Remember, just because you're going through something that's a hardship in life, and it seems like ain't nobody else going through it but you, it's not necessarily bad. Because once you get through it, that's what's going to make you different from everybody else. So it's not, sometimes it's not a bad experience, it was a unique experience. So seeing my mom in the condition she was in growing up without a dad was very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, that's what made me who I am. So now I wouldn't change a thing about my childhood. I wouldn't change a thing about my past. Why? Because that's my story. And I own it now. And it makes me unique from everybody else. So I want you all to remember that when you're going through hardship and going through tough times as a child. People think children don't go through tough times. I don't know what they talking about. It's just what makes you unique. So it says like, oh,
I'm finna go into another story.
okay. And that's what makes you unique. Hard times and good times, they make you unique.